Some stories don't ask permission before they change you. They slip in through a crack in the night, wrapped in laughter disguised as a dare, and before you know it, you're staring into something ancient, and it's staring right back. Welcome to Paranormal Nightshift, where the veil thins, the brave speak, and the strange refuses to stay buried. I'm Andy. Yeah, that Andy. It's been almost a year since I've read a story like this one, but tonight felt like the right kind of eerie to come back. And don't worry, I won't be a stranger. I'll be dropping in from time to time to share more tales from the other side. But first, a gift for my fellow night travelers. Head to paranormalnightshift.com and grab your free copy of The Birth of Dimensional Desperado, the first ebook in our time-bending paranormal series. If you thought ghosts were scary, wait until you meet the ones trapped in time. Now, tonight's story. It starts like most nights in college. Popcorn in the air, a crowded dorm, and that buzz of curiosity that dares you to cross a line. But when one roommate brings out a Ouija board, what begins as a game takes a sharp, chilling turn. This one comes from Trisha, and let me tell you, it's not just the board that moves, the air changes. The rules change. And for one girl, the darkness doesn't just answer back. It calls her out by name. Now let's get into it. I was a freshman in college, freshly untethered from curfews, Sunday school, and the watchful eyes of parents who still thought I was a good little church girl. For the most part, I was. Or at least I tried to be. But college has this strange way of unraveling the seams of who you think you are. It nudges you into places, situations, and rooms you swore you'd never be in. Our dorm was cramped, but alive. 4 girls packed into a small space that always smelled like microwave popcorn and Bath and Body Works spray. One of my roommates, let's call her Veronica, was oldest of us. She was 21, worldly, way only a college upperclassman can be, and had this bold streak running right through her, most recently made visible by the dramatic blonde highlights she had just streaked through her dark brown hair. It didn't suit her exactly, but it made her stand out. There was also one roommate who didn't really mesh with the rest of us, always off doing her own thing. So most nights, it was just the 3 of us, and usually my best friend from another dorm, who might as well have had his own drawer in our room with how often he was over. This night was different. It was a weekend. I know that because we had a good 10 to 12 people crammed into our little dorm room, sitting on beanbags, beds, and the floor, passing around cans of soda and chips like it was communion for college kids. It was loud, warm, electric, with the kind of energy that only happens when responsibility is far away and curiosity runs high. That's when Veronica, with a mischievous glint in her eye, said, "We should get out the Ouija board." Now, listen, I grew up in church, real church. The kind where they tell you demons enter through board games and Harry Potter books. So every warning bell I had went off at once. I tried to keep my expression neutral, not wanting to be that girl who ruined the fun. But inside, I was already bracing for something to go wrong. "Come on," someone laughed. "It's just a game." I wanted to say no. Every fiber of my upbringing begged me to say no. But with so many people watching, laughing, nudging me, I caved. I didn't want to be the outsider in my own room. "Fine," I said, "but I'm not touching it." The wooden chest we used as a coffee table became our makeshift seance table. Lights were dimmed, the laughter quieted, and a sort of hush settled over us, like the air in the room had shifted ever so slightly. It was decided only 2 people would put their fingers on the planchette. Not me, not Veronica. I was handed a notebook and a pen and told to be the scribe. At first, nothing happened. Just the sound of someone giggling nervously and the occasional creak from the floor above. But after a few minutes, the planchette began to move. Slowly at first, like someone testing the waters or something. It spelled out random letters, then vague words. It felt harmless, weirdly boring until it wasn't. Veronica had stepped away from the group at some point. No one really noticed. She just sort of drifted toward her bed like she was getting water or fixing her hair. A few minutes later, she returned and stood behind the group, arms crossed, watching silently. That's when things took a turn. The planchette began to move more deliberately now, as if something or someone was no longer playing. It spelled out B-I-T-C-H. A wave of awkward laughter spread across the room. One of the girls with her fingers on the board asked, "Who are you talking about?" The board paused, then slid across the wood again. W-E-I-R-D-H-A-I-R. All eyes turned toward Veronica. She laughed nervously. "Okay, guys, seriously, not funny." Someone else asked, "Why is she a... you know?" The planchette moved faster this time, almost eager. B-I-B-L-E. There was a beat of silence, then Veronica screamed. She hurled something onto the board and backed away, her face pale and wild. I looked down at what she'd thrown. It was one of those tiny pocket New Testaments, red cover, gold trim, the kind you get handed outside your high school by church volunteers. Everyone froze. Veronica was already out the door. We found her crying in the hallway a few minutes later. She wouldn't come back into the room, wouldn't even look at the door. Through tears, she told us what happened. When I stepped away, I grabbed the Bible off my shelf, she said, voice shaking. I don't know why, I felt like I needed it. So I tucked it in the front of my pants. I didn't even think anyone saw me, but the board did. We didn't know what to say. The party was over. The board was shoved back into its box like we were trying to shove the moment away with it. Veronica looked at me, dead serious. "Get rid of it. Burn it. I don't care. But don't you ever bring that board back into this room." And we didn't. To this day, I still don't know what we contacted that night. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe it was something. All I know is I never touched a Ouija board again, and I never underestimated the weight of things we can't explain, because sometimes the darkness answers back, and sometimes it knows your name. And that wraps up this thrilling journey into the unknown. Trisha, thank you so much for sharing your incredible story with us. If you enjoyed this episode, consider supporting the show. You can join us on Patreon for an ad-free experience and exclusive access to all future adventures of the Dimensional Desperado. Plus, Patreon members get extra perks, so don't miss out. Not ready for Patreon? No problem. You can still support us by subscribing to the podcast on Spotify and YouTube. While you're there, comment and let us know what you thought about this episode. Your feedback means the world to us. And don't forget to visit paranormalnightshift.com to grab your free copy of The Birth of Dimensional Desperado, the first ebook in the series. It's the perfect way to dive even deeper into Buck Shadow Sheriff Freeman's wild and mysterious adventures, where haunted timelines, restless spirits, and unfinished business are just the beginning. Finally, if you've got a story of your own, something you can't quite explain, something that still makes the hairs on your arms stand up, don't be shy. Head over to Paranormal Nightshift to submit it. We'd love to bring your experience to life, and you never know who else out there might be listening to a story just like yours. Until next time, stay curious, stay brave, and remember, the night doesn't sleep, and neither do we. You're listening to Paranormal Nightshift.